240,000 miles away from Earth, surrounded by the absolute vacuum of deep space, the Orion spacecraft begins its final maneuver. Getting to the Moon is an incredible engineering achievement, but completing the journey back is the most dangerous phase of the entire mission. To return home, the capsule isn't actually flying in the traditional sense. It's essentially executing a prolonged, multi-day freefall toward the surface of the planet. As the planet Earth grows larger in the window, its gravitational pull grabs the spacecraft, accelerating it exponentially. Within a few days, the capsule reaches speeds exceeding 24,000 miles per hour. Inside the cabin, the physical sensation betrays none of that violence. The astronauts experience a quiet, steady glide, watching the glowing blue and white marble of their home steadily fill their field of view. Surviving the final leg of this descent is a calculation of energy and angle. Hitting the atmosphere at these speeds is a physics problem that yields only to absolute mathematical precision. That precision comes from the ground. Teams of flight dynamics officers and engineers map every single mile of the return trajectory long before the capsule ever nears the atmosphere. It is why the crew remains entirely calm while plummeting through the void. They know that every variable, from the capsule's mass to the density of the upper atmosphere, has been calculated and factored into their approach. The descent is not a chaotic plunge, but a highly choreographed dance between human engineering and the relentless pull of gravity. Hitting the Earth's atmosphere safely requires aiming for a tiny, invisible target known as the re-entry corridor. It is an incredibly narrow angle of approach. This diagram illustrates the stakes. If the spacecraft comes in at too steep of an angle, the sudden resistance from the thick air generates a catastrophic amount of friction, and the capsule would burn up entirely. Conversely, if the trajectory is too shallow, the capsule won't catch enough air to slow down. It would bounce off the upper atmosphere like a flat stone across a pond, tumbling back out into deep space. The flight path must thread the needle, locking in to an exact center point. This perfect angle creates just enough drag to intentionally generate a massive wave of friction to act as a brake. That friction generates a plasma trail, driving temperatures outside the spacecraft up to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. To survive, the capsule relies on its heat shield, which acts like a massive thermal sponge. The shield uses an ablative process. Instead of simply blocking the heat, its outer layers intentionally melt and flake away, safely carrying the extreme thermal energy off into the slipstream. By sacrificing its own layers, the engineering creates a perfect protective barrier. The crew sits comfortably inside the cabin, while a literal inferno rages just inches past the glass. Even after the plasma trail fades and the intense heat dissipates, the capsule is still falling far too fast for a safe landing. The vehicle must now shift its deceleration strategy. It relies on aerodynamics to catch the thicker, lower layers of the Earth's atmosphere. A sequenced array of massive parachutes fires upward. The fabric canopies violently snap open against the blue sky, catching the wind to rapidly brake. Inside, the physical sensation shifts drastically. The speed drops, and the chaotic fall smoothly levels out into a controlled, gentle glide downward. These cascading mechanical systems execute a perfect handoff. They successfully transition the crew from the hostile extremes of space into the welcoming air of the lower atmosphere. Finally, the capsule makes contact, splashing down gently into the calm waters of the ocean. For the crew inside, the sensory shift is immediate. The silent expanse of the void is replaced by the bobbing of ocean waves and the heavy, undeniable pull of gravity. Sitting in the capsule waiting for recovery, the astronauts experience a profound wave of visceral relief as the intense physical demands of the descent finally melt away. This quiet moment floating on the water serves as the ultimate validation of millions of hours of rigorous engineering and planning. The success of this landing validates the entire architecture of the Artemis program. It's the definitive proof that we can send humans to the moon and bring them back. The return of Artemis II serves as a required proof of concept. Before we can push further into the solar system, we have to know we can bring our crews safely back. By validating the performance of this ablative heat shield and these specific navigation systems, engineers secure the precise data needed to move forward with constructing permanent lunar bases. It also proves that we possess the foundational technology required for the next massive leap, bringing human beings safely home from the surface of Mars. Every safe return to Earth is a promise kept, confirming our systems are ready to support the next generation of explorers as they push further into the solar system.